지수야! 지수야!
The movie begins as we see our protagonist, Dong-Chul, and his friend, Chun-Sik, working at a fish delivery service. Dong-Chul used to be a gangster, but after meeting his wife, he retired and began working regular jobs. Soon after, they hear a commotion because one of the merchants failed to pay the maintenance fee to their boss, Kang. Chun-Sik notices this and mumbles to Dong-Chul that the boss hasn't given them their paychecks yet. However, when Kang and his men pass by, the two bow their heads in respect. Just then, Dong-Chul receives a phone call from a man, and they both rush to visit him. It turns out that Dong-Chul has a tendency to invest in shady businesses, and this time, he is planning to invest in king crabs. After checking the samples and hesitating for a while, Dong-Chul decides to put down his money, which includes the 100 million won he borrowed from the bank. Elsewhere, we see Dong-Chul's wife, Ji-Soo, who works at two places just to make ends meet. Later, on the way home, Dong-Chul asks Ji-Soo about her opinion on investing in king crabs, but she becomes enraged because he always takes investments that turn out to be scams, causing them to go into debt. Meanwhile, a group of criminals led by a man named K-Tai is trying to force their way through a door in an apartment. After unlocking the door, he confronts and severely attacks a debtor. However, just as he's about to murder him, the debtor's daughter arrives, and K-Tai is fascinated by her beauty. He and his henchmen then kidnap the girl as a debt ransom. On the way, K-Tai's car collides with Dong-Chul's car by accident. Dong-Chul gets out of his car to inspect the damage and tries to persuade K-Tai's driver, Do-Sik, to come out and report the matter to the police. However, since they are holding the girl captive, Do-Sik tries to move quickly and offers Dong-Chul some money. When Ji-Soo notices him throwing money at her husband, she arrives, scolding him and telling Dong-Chul to contact the cops. K-Tai, captivated by Ji-Soo's appearance, gets out of the car, begins beating his driver, and apologizes to Dong-Chul. Seeing this, the couple gets freaked out and immediately leaves. The following day, Dong-Chul goes to Kang to get his paycheck, but only receives a small amount. He tries to plead for more, but Kang ignores him, so he is forced to leave. He then meets Chun-Sik, where they learn that the king crab ship is being held in a Chinese port. They believe they have been deceived once more and are concerned about Ji-Soo's reaction if she finds out. That evening, Dong-Chul takes his wife out to dinner to celebrate her birthday. During their conversation, Ji-Soo advises that they get a fake divorce so that they can keep their apartment. But Dong-Chul becomes agitated and refuses. He then tells Ji-Soo about his king crab investment, and upon hearing the amount, she becomes furious and yells at him. He then calms her down and goes to retrieve the birthday cake. But when he comes back, she has already left. Meanwhile, Ji-Soo heads home in a cab, but feels horrible, so she texts Dong-Chul and assures him that she trusts him with his decisions. Dong-Chul, who is still in the restaurant, is pleased and rushes home after receiving her message. Later, Ji-Soo's car has to stop in the middle of the road because a man named Lim-gu is transferring some items to another car. However, Lim-gu turns out to be K-Tai's henchman, who is purposefully slowing down Dong-Chul's route home. Meanwhile, at home, Ji-Soo is abducted by one of K-Tai's henchmen. When Dong-Chul returns home, he cannot find his wife, and their apartment is in a wreck. He begins to panic and goes to the police station to report the situation. The police then show him the apartment building's CCTV footage. However, before the abduction, someone purposely disabled the CCTV cameras in the area. As Dong-Chul leaves the police station, he receives a phone call from K-Tai, who makes him listen to Ji-Soo's pleading voice. K-Tai then says he has put a business card on the fridge and invites Dong-Chul to meet him at a restaurant. When Dong-Chul arrives at the restaurant, K-Tai calls him again and requests that he open the bag in front of him. The bag turns out to be full of money, and K-Tai tells him that this is Ji-Soo's price and that she will not be returning home. Frustrated, Dong-Chul presents the money to the cops as evidence. After investigating, the police conclude that what happened to Ji-Soo is an instance of human trafficking and try to dismiss it. Dong-Chul realizes that the police are not taking the kidnapping seriously. He then discovers that numerous other women in the city have been taken in the same manner as his wife, and none have been found alive. Therefore, he decides to take matters into his own hands and contacts his friend Chun-Sik to arrange a meeting with a private detective named Baek. Chun-Sik informs him that Baek demands a significant sum of money, which they cannot afford since they have already given K-Tai's money to the police. Desperate, Dong-Chul goes to see Kang again and demands his wages. However, as usual, Kang refuses to pay his full amount and scolds him. Kang's men begin to chase Dong-Chul, but he fights each of them. Terrified by Dong-Chul's strength, Kang finally pays him all his dues. Afterward, Dong-Chul and Chun-Sik go to meet the private detective Baek and ask for his help. Dong-Chul hands over all his money to Baek, who claims it is insufficient. Therefore, Chun-Sik secretly promises Baek 5% of the proceeds from their king crab investment. The following day, Baek discovers the license plate number of the person who placed Dong-Chul's money bag after reviewing the CCTV tape. They eventually learn who owns the car and proceed to meet him. After reviewing the CCTV footage, the three finally discover the owner of the car and go to meet him. After interrogating him, they learn that he sold his car's license plate to a bookie because he was addicted to gambling. Following this lead, they head to the shady location where the man sold his license plate. There, they are escorted to an official who asks whether they are looking for a number plate for vehicles or for drugs. When she realizes that they are investigating her client's information, she assumes they are police officers and orders her men to attack them. However, Dong-Chul defeats them one by one, forcing the woman to give him the information he needs. That evening, Dong-Chul visits a nightclub based on the business card provided by the bookie. However, he soon discovers that the business card is outdated and the nightclub has a new owner. While parking, he notices a van leaving the club with a man and several women inside. The man turns out to be Limu, the same person who previously blocked Dong-Chul's way back to his apartment. Dong-Chul approaches Limu as he returns to his car and demands that he get out, but Limu manages to escape. Later, Dong-Chul receives news that the police have discovered a body. Distressed, he rushes to the station to confirm whether it belongs to Ji-Soo. He is terrified, but to his relief, the deceased woman is not her. The next day, Bear investigates the identity of the dead woman and finds out that she had been missing for 2 years. Strangely, she was in a coma before being kidnapped, and her husband had previously gone to the police station to confess something. In the following scene, the three go to meet the husband of the deceased woman. The man explains that his wife had been in a coma for 2 years, and he had taken care of her all that time. They even appeared on a TV show to ask for financial help for her treatment. However, one day, Kai approached him and offered a large sum of money in exchange for his wife, claiming that she was already a living corpse. Eventually, the husband accepted the money in exchange for his wife, but now he deeply regrets his decision. Before Dong-Chul leaves, the man shares some information he gathered about the people involved. As Dong-Chul and his friends get into their car, they hear a loud commotion and discover that the man they just spoke to has committed suicide by jumping from the top of the building. When Dong-Chul examines the documents given to him, he recognizes a familiar face and a business card belonging to a man named Do-Sik, who had crashed his car a few days earlier. He decides to confront Do-Sik, but when they meet, Doo-sik does not recognize him at all. Dong-Chul then takes Doo-sik from his office and brings him to Bear's place for interrogation. There, Doo-sik is tortured for hours, but he refuses to reveal any information. Suddenly, Kai video calls them and threatens to kill Ji-Soo unless Dong-Chul kills Doo-sik. Seeing his wife being tortured, Dong-Chul pretends to strangle Doo-sik until he collapses unconscious. After the call ends, it is revealed that Dong-Chul was only acting. He had merely pinched Doo-sik in a way that made him faint. He then slaps Doo-sik hard, waking him up instantly. Realizing he has no choice, Doo-sik finally confesses that they are loan sharks who abduct borrowers or their loved ones when they fail to repay their debts. Sometimes, they kidnap women simply because of their appearance, selling them for high prices into prostitution abroad. Kai is a man who believes that money can buy anything, and it often does. However, Dong-Chul is the first person to refuse to give in. Doo-sik claims that he does not know the exact location where the hostages are being held, only the province. After gathering all the information they could, Dong-Chul and his friends decide to retrieve the money from the police. When they arrive at the police station, Bear and Chun-sik disguise themselves as prosecutors. They claim to be from the central office in Seoul and request to take the money bag for further examination. The officer in charge agrees to hand over the bag, but insists on notifying the lead detective first. Despite their objections, the officer calls the detective, who informs him that the case has not been reported to the prosecution. Dong-Chul, who has been waiting outside and listening, realizes that their cover has been blown. To create a diversion, he blows up a detective's car. Amidst the chaos, they manage to escape with the money. Meanwhile, several kidnapped women are shown being held captive by Kai and his crew. Kai becomes furious at Lim-gu and beats him with a bat for mistreating one of the women. Shortly after, he receives a call from Dong-Chul, who informs him that they have successfully recovered the money. Kai then invites Dong-Chul to his hideout for the exchange, but secretly orders his men to kill him once he gets his money back. Later, Ji-Soo notices something unusual about the window in her room. It has been recently repaired. She and another woman remove the covering and work on loosening the door bar. They manage to create a small opening, allowing Ji-Soo to escape. Just as another girl is about to follow, a kidnapper stops her. Ji-Soo keeps running, and Kai quickly sets out to find her. She reaches the main road and desperately asks a passing driver for help, begging him to take her to the nearest police station. However, when they get stuck in traffic near the station, she decides to run the rest of the way. Just as she is about to reach the entrance, Kai's car pulls up in front of her, and he grabs her. The next day, Dong-Chul and his friends arrive at the location where the women are being held. Dong-Chul storms into the building, fighting off anyone who stands in his way as he makes his way upstairs. Meanwhile, the abductors are preparing to relocate the kidnapped women. Hearing the commotion outside, Lim-gu rushes out of his room, only to be beaten by Dong-Chul. At the same time, Bear and Chun-sik successfully free the kidnapped women. Soon after, the police arrive and arrest the criminals. Dong-Chul searches for his wife, believing she may have escaped through the window. On his way, he spots Kai's car with Ji-Soo inside. Seeing Dong-Chul, Kai orders the driver to speed up. Dong-Chul chases after them, trying to stop the vehicle. However, a collision occurs, causing Dong-Chul's car to tumble down a hill. Kai, now armed with an axe, approaches the wrecked car and smashes the windshield, but Dong-Chul is nowhere to be found. Suddenly, Dong-Chul appears, pulling Kai down and attacking him. He punches Kai repeatedly and kicks him to the ground. Kai, now weakened, pretends to apologize and even threatens to take his own life. However, Dong-Chul restrains him and continues beating him until Kai finally loses consciousness. With the fight over, Dong-Chul rushes to his wife and wakes her up. Overcome with relief, they embrace as the police arrive at the scene. Following this incident, Kai and his entire gang are arrested, and Dong-Chul becomes a national hero, with his story making headlines. Meanwhile, the shipment of king crabs that Dong-Chul had invested in finally arrives in Korea. Fortunately, this turns out to be an extremely profitable business venture, making him wealthy. The film ends with Ji-Soo and Dong-Chul celebrating her birthday by enjoying a meal of king crab at their new restaurant, marking the beginning of a new and happy chapter in their lives.